Does anybody else get the feeling that we're about to enter the offseason from hell when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles? Because so far it hasn't been great. No, not at all. I mean, let's recap for a second what's gone down with the Philadelphia Eagles so far, okay? They finally fire Kevin Patullo. I'm sorry. They finally take away his OC title. They decide, you know what, maybe you could stay in the organization because he earned that right. So he ends up going to Miami. That got announced today. But they finally take that away after punting an entire season because, God forbid, we hurt Nick Sirianni's coaching tree and hurt his feelings. No, we can't do that. So we have to continue to push a square peg in a round hole when everybody could realize that Kevin Patullo and in the offense and Nick Sirianni in the offense, they didn't have a fucking clue. So they go on the hunt for an OC. And you would think conventional wisdom would be that this would be one of the more enticing jobs in the NFL when you have a loaded offense. So that O-line, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, what's the problem? And yet they struck out repeatedly on their top candidates, which forced them to have a wide net approach. You know, we're interviewing everybody now. Well, yeah, you're interviewing everybody because your first couple of choices decided to go to LA and then Tennessee of all places. Oh, and to college. So right away, red flags start going up, sirens start, the alarms start going off of what is the problem? And immediately me, as the president of the Nick Sirianni Hater Club, went to the head coach. Because it's hard for me to understand why OCs wouldn't want to come to Philly based on Jalen Hurts. That would be the other excuse of why they wouldn't want to come to Philly. But I think the more obvious thing is, no, working with Nick Sirianni must kind of suck if things are going bad. And before you rip me on this, let's think about this. If Nick Sirianni, with the way he has acted, if he were an opposing coach, if he weren't the Philadelphia Eagles coach, if you were unbiased with this, would you like him? Would you want to go work for him? When you have other options, this isn't like a situation of it's the only job. The answer by far is no. If Nick Sirianni were the Commanders' head coach, we would loathe this man. So I think that's the perception around the NFL. I don't get the idea that Nick Sirianni is thought of as this offensive guru around the NFL. How could he? I think he's thought of as a CEO type, which is a really nice way of saying he's a babysitter, who is a vibes guy. And vibes guys are great, but the problem with vibes guys is you have to keep the vibe up when things aren't going well, and Nick Sirianni has proven time and time again that he doesn't know how to stop the ship from going into the iceberg. He has no idea how to steer the car away from danger when the brake lines get cut off. He does not have a clue. When things are going great, he's peacocking around. When things aren't going great, he's pointing fingers, he's blaming people, and he decides to take over a few things. This causes Jeff Stoutland, the most respected O-line coach in the NFL, to say, yeah, fuck this, I'm out. Yeah, I'm not dealing with this. So again, it gives credence to the fact that Nick Sirianni is really the problem. The report comes out that Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo decided to take away the run game from Jeff Stoutland, which ended up causing him to say, you know what, I'm not really respected around here. That is an issue, a major issue. And the Philadelphia Eagles, I fear, are hitching their horse to the wrong wagon. And they're doing so because of two reasons. One, Nick Sirianni won a Super Bowl. I will die on this hill. Nick Sirianni didn't win a Super Bowl. Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio won that Super Bowl. Nick Sirianni just had a really nice seat in a Gatorade bath. That is it. But the second one is, I don't get the idea that Jeffrey Lurie likes change. Even though he's not opposed to it, I think he looks at consistent change as a dysfunctional organization. His first coach was Andy Reid. One of his first coaches was Andy Reid. And he lasted 13 years. I don't think he wants to get into the New York Jets every 2 years. We're looking for a head coach. And if you let Sirianni go, the optics aren't great because this is now the second head coach that's won you a Super Bowl that you have decided to let go within 2 years of winning that Super Bowl. So it might end up scaring off other candidates. You give Nick Sirianni more time. But I think giving Nick Sirianni more time to quote-unquote fix this is kind of like Nick Sirianni giving himself more time to quote-unquote fix the offense last season when it was very abundantly clear that there was no fixing it. So the Eagles are hitching their wagon to this guy that is not a boy wonder, that I don't think would be heavily sought out if he got let go, that doesn't really have a clue on how to run an offense, even though he's an offensive-minded head coach, who every time he touches the offense, it looks very high schoolish, very predictable. They're hitching their wagon to that guy because they're under the impression that he won them a Super Bowl. And it's not like that the Eagles aren't, impervious to fucking up. I think we're all under the impression that Howie Roseman has never messed up. And I think in this situation, he is messing up because they end up going out there and they end up hiring Sean Mannion. And I did a video on that. You can find it in the corner. I'm not a real big fan of the hire. But if Sean Mannion ends up working out and he comes in and he, gets the offense back on track, I'm not even saying he completely reinvents the wheel, but just gets them back on track, then he's probably gone at the end of the year because this team's really good with the current roster. But the reason I say we're about to enter the offseason from hell, or at least it feels like it, is because you still got the A.J. Brown situation lingering over everybody's head. Everybody is dissecting every comment he made on those podcasts that he did at Radio Row for info on whether or not he's coming back. I still contend that he's coming back. It's hard for me to imagine the Philadelphia Eagles can't make this work. He's under contract. He's one of the most talented wide receivers in the NFL. You're trying to win a Super Bowl. It just makes sense to be like, look, give it a new OC, see how it goes. Adam Schefter was on with John Kincaid and Andrew Saltunis today, and he made a really good point. A year ago, you had Myles Garrett demanding trades and the Cowboys wanting to sign Micah Parsons to a long-term contract. Micah Parsons ends up getting traded, and Myles Garrett ends up signing that extension. But that's still lingering over everybody's head. So then you move on to the tight end position, which both tight ends are free agents. Grant Calcaterra, Dallas Goedert, you have no idea who your tight end is going to be. Okay, fine. Then you move on to the offensive line, which for the first time in a long time is a problem. And it's a problem not just because Jeff Stoutland just left, because you hired a guy that wasn't retained by the Vikings, even though his offensive line dealt with a lot of injuries. He wasn't retained. I don't think that's a great sign. But you bring this new guy in, who, by the way, nobody on the Eagles' offensive line has ever worked with anybody other than Jeff Stoutland. That's not to say that this guy won't be great. He very well could be. He could be better than Jeff Stoutland. I just don't really like let's go with the mystery box approach. I wouldn't have left Jeff Stoutland out of the building. I would have been like, whatever you want, basically. But deeper than that, you've got Tyler Steen at right guard, who was a problem last year. Disaster. Okay, then you've got Lane Johnson, who's been contemplating retirement for the past 5 years. It's eventually going to happen. Eventually, he's going to say, I don't need this. I'm a Hall of Famer. I have 2 Super Bowls. I'm constantly banged up. My ankle was caved in. Yeah, I'm good. I'm out. Will it be this year? Who knows, right? You'd figure that he would give the Eagles some info before free agency, but who knows? And then the report comes out that Landon Dickerson's considering retirement. And even if he's not considering retirement, how much longer does he have? Because the Eagles drafted this guy with no knees. And all he's done since being in the NFL is get banged up. The dude has got to be hobbling around. He basically spent all of last year injured. I still don't know why they played him week 1 after having the surgery. But for his NFL career, it's been nothing but surgery. And he came into the league like that. So you've got a situation where potentially, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but potentially you need to replace 3 of your 5 starters on the offensive line. Now, I think Tyler Steen's a lock to be replaced, and I would be surprised if Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson don't come back for next year, because I think they see that this team, if it stays as constructed, is loaded. But there is a chance that this just does not go right, that this just ends up being a disaster. Oh, by the way, Jalen Phillips is a free agent. You don't know what's going on with that. Nakobe Dean's a free agent. He was playing like an all-pro. You do have a feeling that if he left, he would end up continuing that all-pro somewhere else. But the Eagles did draft Jahad Campbell for a reason. There's just a lot of issues. Oh, and I didn't even mention Vic Fangio considering retirement. So how long does he have left? Maybe a year. Having fun. Glad we have Nick Sirianni as the head coach. He's not deterring anybody from coming to Philadelphia, clearly. I keep thinking back to that video of Saquon, and he signs, and he goes and meets with Nick Sirianni for the first time, but like he's since admitted like he hated Nick Sirianni before he joined the team. And of course it's like all kumbaya now. No, I love Nick Sirianni and blah blah blah. But to act like Nick Sirianni this offseason so far has not deterred people, has not turned people off from the city of Philadelphia, that is, you're blind. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you like this video. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought this video sucked. If you leave a comment, let me know what you guys think about this. But I pretty much only prioritize channel members. So if you want to support the channel, become a channel member. I check every night, see if anybody has commented. And then, yeah, as always, though, go Birds.